Hey, everybody, thanks for your support along the way and supporting our new vloggers. But I want to introduce my guest of honor, the Honorable Vice Mayor of San Leandro, Victor Aguilar. Victor, welcome, Council Member. It's a
Well,
pleasure to have you.
thank you for having me, Zenny, and thank you to the viewers who are watching, and thank you for the opportunity to chat more about this exciting assembly race.
Yes. Well, tell us about yourself. Who is Victor Aguilar?
So, Zenny, Victor Aguilar is somebody who grew up in a union household. Um, I'm someone whose family's immigrated from Mexico. My parents taught me how to respond to hard times with a love for family, community, and a passion for social justice. My family are frontline workers. And during this pandemic, I lost my loving mother to COVID-19,
Oh,
and
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Oh,
it was very, very heartbreaking to watch my father look over the $800,000 medical bill that my mom had, and without medical coverage from her union job, my father would have not only lost his wife, but he also would have been financially devastated. And to me, it's simple. The COVID, the response to COVID-19 would have been different if we prioritized people over profits. And I'm someone that will fight tirelessly for universal single payer healthcare in Sacramento. Yeah, I'm someone who's locally here in San Leandro as the first openly gay vice mayor, has fought for hazard pay for grocery workers, have fought to extend the moratorium on eviction for our renters here in San Leandro. I've also implemented rent stabilization for our mobile home park renters here in the city. I grew up in politics. My father was a union worker. He was part of SEIU Local 347, 721, and then it became 1021. I was part of Local 5 Unite here in Hawaii. I worked at the Hyatt Regency Waikiki Resort and Spa as a waiter while I was attending college out there. So yeah, I grew up in Southern California, went to Hawaii for college, and met my husband in LA, and we moved up here to the Bay Area where we planted our roots and made this our home. And I got involved in politics, running for school board back in 2016, got elected and got elected to city council in 2018. And now I'm running for California State Assembly.
what was the aha moment where you said, I'm going to run. I'm ready. I'm going to do this?
The aha moment happened when, I've had conversations with my mother. My mom was my biggest inspiration to get me involved. She was always involved, in PTA and advocating for those kids who are, who have been disenfranchised, whose parents didn't speak Spanish, to help the kids get, the education that they need, and get me, on the path to success and getting the help that I need to be successful in elementary, junior high, and high school, and in my life. So my mom was the one who, when I told her that I was considering about running, she said, Victor, you had that tenacity, you had that panache, you help others without having them ask you to help them out. You anticipate their needs. You know how to be that person to care for people, but also to care for your community. And right before my mom passed away, I had asked her, what do you think about me running? She's like, this is something that you should do. And I just needed that validation from her. And my mind, I knew that I was going to run, but having her support and my father's support just meant the world to me. And this is something that we talked about. And right after she passed, that's when the appointment had happened, and I got a bunch of phone calls, and folks were telling me, "Hey, are you ready to run?" And I said, "Well, how do you identify somebody who's running for assembly?" So I just with that support, with the community support, and the support of my mom is what is the aha moment where I said, I think this is something that I need to do, and I have the support to do it. and I'm going to put my name in the hat for this race for California State Assembly.
I got to ask you, I'm going to break my rule just for a little bit because I'm here 3,000 miles away from my mom, who's 86, even though I've still got my rent paid back in Adams Point. And she's the only thing I got. So, yeah, how are you doing?
Zenny,
Right?
I was not doing good after she passed away. I mean, just watching my mom suffer for 2 months on, going in and out of ventilators, and finally deciding, um, whether or not she was going to survive. My mom, just watching her there. My mom and I had a conversation. She said, if I'm a vegetable, just what to do. I think that you just think about my quality of life, and my sister's a nurse, and so was my brother-in-law, and my mom helped push them to go to nursing school. And so with my sister's knowledge, she was we were able to talk as a family, and decide, if we decide to stop giving her heart her heart pressure medication, and taking her off the ventilator, because yeah, she started to go into renal failure. She was just It was just horrible. She was basically going to be a vegetable. So we decided to stop the blood pressure medication and take her off the ventilator, and pull the plug on her. So a lot of other families were struggling during that time because you couldn't go into the hospital, and we advocated so hard, and were in tears that we were able to get in to go and see my mom. Um, and so that final week, the week of March 1st, we got to see her out of isolation, be in there as a whole family. And on the day after my birthday, on March 5th, we decided to pull the plug and say goodbye. So I think the the part about this is, we were together as a family. We got to, watch her take her last breath. Whereas a lot of other families, who are dealing with, the loss, so traumatizing, for me. And he's just going through this. He's like, I lose my sense of emotion. And so it's like, I'm kind of numb to watching this, and seeing this firsthand, and experience this, especially a Latin family. We have a hard time expressing our emotions, and I've never saw a therapist. And so I started internalizing my emotions, and it wasn't good. And having a day job, being vice mayor, running for assembly, and running a nonprofit, I had to prioritize myself, and I have manage my calendar, but also manage my mental health and get the help that I need to help address these issues that I was dealing with. And so, I have Kaiser. Kaiser took 2 months to finally get somebody. I had to go outside of their network because they were impacted with trying to address the mental health services and the needs, and getting me the help that I need. So, I lost it, and I complained and shouted at them. And, after the fifth intake, it was, I need to go out of network and get the help that I need. So now I do have the help that I need. I have a great therapist that I'm talking to, and I told my therapist, I don't know why I didn't do this, like 20 years ago, especially when I was dealing with my sexuality and trying to help me understand that I'm okay to be who I am as a gay Latin man. That there are many others just like me. I had to deal with that on my own, and I had a lot of my friends who were my moral support. But I think having that help to deal with this loss has definitely advanced me to kind of you know um, take control of my emotions, and be honest with myself, and move forward, and learn to be happy, but also to not forget the great times that I've had with my family, and my mother. And so I think when you ask about the aha moment, that is having that conversation with my mom was like just having her approval, and having her motivate me to run is it meant the world to me. But I think trying to deal with this loss was also tough in getting the help that I need. But I think I'm on the right path.
Yeah, curious. Have you, from what, frankly speaking, is a really unique perch to see government, have you experienced or seen anything that says, if I'm elected, I will do X to fix it?
Yes, there is. I think healthcare is one of the biggest needs, and I think I mentioned earlier that my father was looking over an $800,000 bill. He was like,
Right.
oh, my dad calls me mijo, which is like an endearing term in Spanish, and so he's like, mijo, come here. I want you to take a look at this, and he's flipping through this, the bill charges, and I'm looking through it, and that was a moment where I was like, let me take a photo of my dad. I pulled out my phone, snapped a shot. I have it up on my Facebook website, and just watching him pour over that bill to see how much it costs. It's healthcare is something that healthcare is a human right, and everyone deserves access to it. I remember when I didn't have insurance, if and I was contemplating whether or not I can go to the doctor because I couldn't afford it. I didn't, I got laid off in 2008. I wasn't going to pay for Cobra because Cobra was expensive. And so I finally decided, okay, I'm going to go to the doctor. I don't know how I'm going to pay for this, but thank God I did, because I would have died from cellulitis, from a bacteria infection that I got.
Hmm.
And the person, the social worker who was there, said, "Hey, you're not working. Here's a program that'll help pay for your medical needs." And so I signed on. I told her I didn't have a job; it wasn't working. Got insured through them, and that was an $80,000 medical bill that I did not have to pay because I was in ICU for a week.
Hmm.
A lot of folks deal with that on a daily basis, and they 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 give their social security number, they give their information, the hospitals bill them, and it if you can't pay your bill, it ruins your credit, it ruins you from further advancing. And this targets minorities, especially those who don't have insurance, who and so I think this is something that I'm really advocating for, is to push for a single payer healthcare, to sign on to Ash Kalra's bill, Assembly Bill 1400, which is single payer, and just experiencing how much medical cost, and watching that bill that my father pulled out. I could only imagine what others are going through who dealt with COVID, and those who had passed away from COVID, or families who are just being financially devastated by these bills that they cannot afford. That has to stop. We need to prioritize people over profits, and make sure that we're also getting rid of those bills that we're helping our constituents out, and the state of California, to make sure that they don't have to worry about that. And that's why I'm advocating for healthcare, and it's something that is near and dear to my heart.
How would you assess how the county has responded, the county of Alameda has responded to the COVID threat uh, thus far?
I think we take instructions from the governor of the state, and also from the CDC. I think and our I call him the former idiot in chief, uh, President Trump. I think President Trump. I was one of those who would say he's hashtag not my president, but the sad truth is he was our president. He did a horrible job. I think that we could have prioritized those lives and quarantined earlier, to make sure that things like this didn't happen. That LA was not a hotbed for COVID, and if there are things that I can bring back, it's bringing back my mom from this. Nine of my immediate family members contracted COVID.
Hmm.
Eight survived. My aunt was also hospitalized, but she survived COVID. And it's just traumatizing. It's devastating. It devastated a lot of families. especially the Black and Brown communities. I had folks who were losing, moms, dads, brothers, and sisters, and it's like, that only one child survived. It was just that tough, and especially those who had underlying conditions like diabetes. It was, those folks got hit the hardest, and so I think, the county's response was, I think we could have had a sooner response, a rapid response to that, and not be so lax, and make sure that we were quarantining a lot earlier to prevent. And so we learned from our mistakes. I did advocate for those to have access to testing facilities, and also advocate for those to get vaccinations in zip codes that were highly affected with the coronavirus. And so those are things that I advocated for, but I think the county could have been more responsive to this pandemic.
Hey, so tell us about you. Where'd you grow up? I know you talked about moving up here, but where were you born? What do you like to do? That sort of thing. What shapes you?
So I grew up in Southern California, in El Monte. It's the city, El Monte, had a lion farm called Gay's Lion Farm, and the MGM lion was from Gay's Lion Farm. So that's Almani's
I
claim.
didn't know that. We know something. Yeah, wow.
That's Almani's claim to fame, and thus you have the MGM Grand. But there was a huge lion farm in Almani. There's a bronze statue on Valley Boulevard in Peck, right by the freeway entrance. You'll see a lion statue, and our rival high school was Almani. I went to a Royal High, and so we would go and decorate their lion statue, and they would come and decorate our night, just kind of sense of rivalry. But I grew up in Almani. I moved to Hawaii to go to college. There was a time where I had an issue with my sexuality and my parents not accepting who I was, so I had to move to go and educate myself. And a lot of folks, when I call them, my cell phone number has an 808 area code, and people always pick up a call from Hawaii. So that's one of the reasons why I kept it and didn't change it. But Hawaii holds a special place, near and dear to my heart. My husband's from Hawaii. I lived out there for 10 years and then moved to Los Angeles, where I met him, and then we moved up to the Bay Area. He got a job offer, and I say, the Bay Area is where we fell in love, and got married here in San Leandro. Bought a house here in San Leandro, laid roots, and got involved in the community, and advocating, for social justice, for change, and making sure that we're taking care of those in our community, and I'm advocating for those who have been disenfranchised.
How has San Leandro changed over the time that you've been there?
San Leandro has a racist history. It used to be one of the most racist cities in the U.S., and now it's one of the most diverse. I mean, you have your first openly gay vice mayor, and it's like you have a diverse city council. We had Benny Lee, who was Asian, and then Corina Lopez, who's Latina, and you have former council member Ed Hernandez, and then former council member Lee Thomas, who's African American. So we went through, we have our diversity. I think our city council is representative of the demographic. Things are changing. We have diverse staff, diverse council. Things have changed a lot. We've implemented mobile home park rent stabilization. We're building lots of affordable housing, and we just approved a project. It's like we were bringing in market rate housing as well, because we haven't met our numbers for that. So there's a lot of housing projects going up around the city. San Leandro's changing. I think we need to invest in our infrastructure. Because it's used to be a sleepy town. Now it's like one of the it'll be like the next metropolitan city, where we're right next door to Oakland, and people see how quaint this town is, and so a lot of folks are moving here and catching on that San Leandro is the place to be. So a lot of things that have changed. We focus on on a broad brand infrastructure to make sure that we're taking care and providing free Wi-Fi to our parks and the downtown area. So things have changed here in that retrospect.
So, in closing, tell people how they can find you online, your website, so on.
Yeah, so you can find me victorforca.com. That's VICTORFORC.
Yes. Sorry, VICTOR FOR. Yes, sir.
CA.com.
For Victor for it's me. It's Drain Bramage. Drain.
Short for Victor for California. So victorforca.com.
CA, that's what it is. Okay. VictorForCA.com. And through the magic of StreamYard, there you are.
Wonderful. There you go.
And hey, stick around in the backstage. Thank you for your time. And everybody, don't forget to get involved in your area and also subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com. That ends this broadcast.